When you show up to Hibachi Grill and they got a monkey strapped in the middle of the table, it's gonna be a wild night.
Under the docks, yeah, under the docks. Buried deep, but we're breaking the locks. Footage got clipped, they erase all the shots. We stay connected dots. Under the docks, under the docks, yeah, under the docks. Yeah, under the docks.
Welcome back to Under the Docks, spooktacular Halloween special, ending it off with the classic. You got Sean Chris, Paranoid American. What's up, my friend?
Whoa. That's my ghost.
I like it, man. It's actually improved from the last 3 episodes. It keeps getting. I get scared more and more each time.
We can throw some reverb on it and stuff. Make my voice all like super deep. Like, I'm gonna kill you.
Faces of Death, 1978 film, directed by John Allen Schwartz, and also narrated voice of Dr. Francis Gross. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are somewhat familiar. If they're in our age range and older, should be familiar with this film. It was one of the original, predating the internet, where we would pass it along like, hey man, you see Faces of Death? Hey, have you heard of this thing called Faces of Death? It was almost equivalent to, being an adolescent and somebody having a folded up nudie magazine in their pocket, like, hey man, got this pinup girl in me. Everybody's checking it around. So these tapes would VHSs would just float around, and someone be like, my uncle's uncle or my friend's uncle or my older brother has this tape of this, like, people getting killed and suicides and all the above.
Yeah, the tape itself was almost an urban legend. And the reason I knew about it when I was probably like, I don't know, 12 or younger, that one of my friends that was on my soccer team, his parents owned a video rental store. And I remember asking him and his older brother, like, what kind of like tapes do you guys not carry that you've seen? Like, do you have any behind the desk or like behind the curtain type? And I'm not talking about like adult movies. Like, what are some weird stuff that you guys have got? And his older brother would always brag, oh, I've seen Faces of Death all these many times. And he was explaining to me what was happening in it. And people are dying and getting hit by cars and eaten by alligators. And none of that appealed to me one bit, man. Like, I didn't want to have anything to do with this movie, but I absolutely knew it existed. And actually, I think that I might have tried to peek it a few times, but this is the first time that I actually watched the entire thing start to end.
Yeah, same. I was always like hesitant. I was like, I don't really want to see that. I'm not a big fan of like seeing people get killed. Like, I don't know, like some people are into that. I know, like they don't mind it. I don't even really like surgeries personally. It's just not my thing.
Same.
I'm just like, so yeah, this was a stomach rupture one for me. Like, I was like, glad I watched this at 40 instead of 15 for sure, though. Like,
this would have rocked my 12-year-old brain without question. And I was thinking too, what's a better litmus test? You show your kid Bambi's mom dying, or you show him Faces of Death? Like, it kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out if you see how they react to Faces of Death.
Plotting the course. So Faces of Death is basically a bunch of videos stitched together from all types of stuff, from cultural videos of like people setting themselves on fire, or cultural rituals where they would sacrifice somebody, or suicides or operations. So you name it, it has it. And I'll go through a couple of the actual kind of deaths that they cover in this film. Accidental deaths. They have footage of real life accidents, such as people falling off things, again, falling into things, alligators eating them, like literal, like, and the one thing I will say that's crazy to me is that this is 1978. They have a lot of footage of this stuff, which I'm assuming now we have way more of this.
And this one too, it gets woven together over a narrative. So it's not just a whole bunch of clips of people dying and horrific accidents. That it starts out that it's about this Dr. Gross and that he's been having this reoccurring dream about death and that people that he knows are like constantly dying, and he becomes obsessed with death, and now he wants to learn everything he can learn about it. So he investigates cultural deaths and cults, like horrific accidents, and probably like even near-death experiences. And he even goes to like a slaughterhouse and talks about animal death. So really, Faces of Death is all about death itself and people's reactions to it and his reaction to it, all in an attempt to figure out why he's getting these weird recurring dreams. So it's a documentary that kind of has a narrative to it.
And it's more spiritual than you would think, right? Like not only spiritual, but like the question of morality and like what death really is. Like growing up, I'm thinking, again, I didn't watch it. I've only heard like, hey, you've seen this. So I'm just thinking it's just like, oh my God, they're just literally watching what now is like on Twitter all the time. You could just go on Twitter. People get killed every day if you wanted to. And if that's in your algorithm, that's like the start algorithm, just so people know. Cause I started a new Twitter for a different like sports thing I was going to do. And the baseline was like just death. Like someone shooting somebody, someone fighting, someone falling off. But before I saw this film, I was assuming that it was literally only about just people getting killed and the brutality of it. But it actually questions a lot more about life than you would expect from the film.
Yeah. Also, I was expecting going into this that there would just be a whole bunch of like raw, dirty VHS camcorder footage of someone getting run over by a train or, like viscerally being attacked. And honestly, it's very like, there's a lot of cinematography here. It is a film. Like you're watching a lot of these things happen on the height of what, these guys were able to make in 1978. So it didn't have that same found footage look to it. A lot of it felt like it was all stitched together to be part of like a cohesive story.
Yeah, it really was. And it critiques like the sensationalism of death, right? Like it has some of it where it's like when they go into the cultural aspects, again, this is what connected me with my conspiracy brain. The same thing with the last two of like these rituals, like, and it kind of explores it more of like what these cultures and not just rituals within like, the Illuminati or what people might think of like all these secret societies, but just religion and different packs of humans having certain mentalities of what they have to do. Like even the whole, like this poisonous snake, like the religious sermon of like, yeah, you got to be bitten by this poisonous snake because you're going to be saved by God. Like you don't think of that as a ritual, but that's a ritual. You know what I mean? That's like actual religious ritual to perform and push you into the direction of what they want you to think.
Fun fact on that clip about, I think it's Pentecost, Pentecostals doing like the snake ritual thing, but fun fact, that clip from Faces of Death made its way into a Michael Bolton music video. So just in case you're wondering if Michael Bolton was hardcore, he was using clips from Faces of Death in his music videos.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore, man. Like that's a good fun fact. That's like a good, around the this summer. This is good. The next summer when it comes around, or you're around a cold winter night and you got the fire going, crack a beer open and be like, fun fact.
Yeah, but someone puts Michael Bolton on. Hey, fun fact, this guy put clips from Faces of Death in his music videos. Did you know that? And no one would believe you. They'd have to look it up and then they'd be like, oh, you're weird for knowing that.
And then he also kind of explores the ethics of viewing like horror and death. Like is it just natural in life? Like, is it something we should fear or is it something we should study? Because I think that in general, most people, like we said, were like, I knew a lot of people that were like, it was like a badge of honor, but a lot of times you didn't know if they really saw it, right? Like how you
Yeah,
were
no, bro, it's exactly like that. It's like their girlfriend in Canada are like, "Oh no, I'm not a virgin. No, no, I've had all kinds of stuff." And you're like, "Dude, we're 12." Like, I know you're lying to me. I felt the exact same way about people telling me they'd seen Faces of Death. It's like you can say that, and then I never saw it, and I never claimed to see it. So they would just tell me what it was about, and I would just assume that, okay, I guess you have seen it. But it's, to me, that would not be a flex. If anything, it's like, I don't know if I want to sleep over at your house.
because they wanted it to seem like tough, and they're like, oh, well, I was able to watch it. So again, growing up, I'm thinking like these guys are psychopaths, bro. Like literally watching people getting murdered, and it's not necessarily that. Like, yes, there's some uncomfortable scenes. Like for me, again, I don't like that kind of stuff. Like if it's a movie, and then the cool thing is that it being 1978, and turns out a lot, and it's leaked out over the years that a lot of these things were not real. Like, you know what I mean? There was a lot that was actually Hollywood, and it's not full on like just death, but it's more philosophical, if anything, right? Like that's what I didn't really expect that angle. I literally thought I was kind of like not ready. I was like, all right, you know what I mean?
And I want to be clear too that this is not an easy watch by
No.
any means. But I psyched myself out way more than I needed to going into it, because like you said, man, you can just go and follow like a Free Palestine hashtag on Twitter, and after 20 minutes, you're gonna see things worse than you're gonna see in Faces of Death. So the difference between, hell, man, we're almost talking 5 decades, right? Like 50 years almost have passed since this movie originally came out. I don't know, like Twitter is scarier than Faces of Death for sure.
Oh, by far. But Faces of Death is the original Twitter.
Correct. Yeah, no, I'm not going to argue that point for sure.
Hidden treasures and overboard moments. I kind of hinted it at the last in the plotting the course of my real hidden gem is the philosophical angle that they came at it with. Like they're really examining what death is and how we should view it, right? Is it proper to like do we just focus not on it? Do we pay attention to it? Do we study it? What is death? Is it something to fear? Is it something to embrace? It's something that like it blew my mind. It's a rough it's rough to get there, but you could get there. And in saying that, my overboard moments is like, I'm like, all right, man, I don't need to see a lot of gory things. Like, you know, the guy on fire and stuff like that didn't bug me that much because I can be like, I can disassociate. It's like, for me, it's more the surgery stuff. And like when they're having like the morgues and like, I don't know if they're real bodies or not. I just was telling myself, it's all fake stuff, man. You know what I mean? But I would say the overboard moments is some of the actual goriness, or like that. It's not as gory as you would think, though. I know that I'm saying that, but it also did not pass my threshold, right? Like, well, I thought I was gonna be like, all right, man, I'm taking this off. Like, I didn't know how far I was gonna make it. So, but I would say that some of the scenes are a little bit overboard for me. I don't like that kind of style. But
yeah, for me, it's actually hard to separate hidden treasure and overboard. It's all like this one big ball of gore and flesh and blood a little bit. It's like, on one hand, the parts that were the most disturbing to me out of this entire Faces of Death documentary, and I'm going to define that a little bit as I go here, but the parts that were the worst are things that I could see on the news, that I could see on Twitter, and that you could just go on like a medical channel and watch someone like dissecting an eye or something. Like, these are just doing, you know, heart bypass surgery on a live stream. None of those are really horror, right? That's not going to be banned in all these different countries, but it's really hard to watch because of like the visceral gore that's part of it. So if you were to subtract those parts, then what you've got left over, and I'm going to do like a punch list of some of the things that we see in this movie. So we've got matadors fighting, you've got dog fights, you've got these Amazonian natives shooting monkeys with poison darts in the trees. Then we go to the Serengeti tribe doing like a bloodletting ritual on an ox and like drinking its blood. Then we go to a Midwestern farm where a lady chops off a chicken's head and it runs around and tries to fly around and stuff. Then we go to a slaughterhouse where you see cows getting killed, you see pigs getting killed, you see lambs getting killed. Then we show a kosher way of killing a cow, which doesn't look any better, by the way. Then they go to a restaurant. This is probably like the moment in the movie. They go to this Moroccan restaurant where the delicacy is you eat the brains of a live monkey. Like you at your table, you bash this monkey over the head with a mallet until it's dead, and then they immediately come out and chop the head off and feed the brain to everybody. That one I was not prepared for that, man. I was like, that one set me off a little bit. Then there was guys that were just straight up shooting seals with AR-15s and shooting sharks with AR-15s in the water for just no reason. Then you see a bunch of guys getting around a group of seals and clubbing these seals to death. Lots and lots of animals die. Way more animals die in this documentary than humans die. I wasn't expecting that. And but it's for like a point that he's making. They show alligator poachers. They have an alligator attack. They have these morgue scenes, which were surreal because there's like 6 bodies all being worked on at the same time, and they're kind of like filming it like it's a movie. They also had an assassination that they claim to have like shown. So that's a lot of different stuff going on in here. And here is the overboard part and the hidden gem is that 99% of all of that was fake. Like every one of those scenes, although there's an asterisk here, right? So first of all, the slaughterhouse scenes were real. They were, killing cows and killing the lambs and all that stuff. The lady does chop the head off of that chicken. All that stuff is real. The dog fight, this is weird, man. So I actually went out and I read a couple interviews with the director about this movie and these claims about what was real and what was fake. Because I went in watching it, hearing that some of it was fake. I was like, I just want to see it and see if I can tell myself which parts were staged and which parts weren't staged. The dog fight, the director claims was staged, but it's weird because they actually went to Compton and they found like a rough neighborhood in Compton where they were doing real dog fights with pit bulls, and they had 2 pit bulls actually fight. And the quote unquote fake part was that the director was pouring fake blood on the dogs to make it look worse than it really was. But these dogs really did fight for like over an hour, and one of them almost died just because of exhaustion and just the process of being in a dog fight. But and then this is the only real parts in the entire movie, right? This actually kind of shocked me. The real parts where there's a dead surfer that like washes up on the beach, and the only reason they even had that is because they were already on the beach filming B-roll for something totally unrelated, and a bunch of people have this big commotion, and they just lucked out, I guess, and an actual dead body washed up. So they have the dead surfer that shows up. There's a whole bunch of different car accidents, and you see kind of like the aftermath. All those are real because they got this like footage from different departments. There was a suicide jumper, there was a parachute jumper, and there was a snake cult. And then the morgue footage, you'll be happy to know, was all 100% real. Those were all real dead bodies that were all like shriveled up and mummified and stuff. That was all actual dead bodies you were seeing.
Not
but
for me.
every other scene in this movie, except for the ones that I just went through, were all staged and fake. I knew for sure the alligator one was totally fake, just because it was like, how did these guys have all their cameras and they're set up in 3 different locations exactly as this thing goes down, yet on Faces of Death, where you're showing people dying, they just do a bunch of like quick edits and cuts and like a zoom in of just blood and then a zoom out, and you never actually see the alligator. Like, I mean, I've lived in Florida for over 2 decades now. I've seen news reports that they show, some of the aftermath or the in process. It's not something that you just like, oh, a bunch of quick edits. Like, it's a slow process of someone getting like twisted around and thrown around. So I knew immediately that one was fake, but in my mind, I was like, that monkey thing was so real. There's no way that they faked that. And it turns out that was 100% fake. They didn't go to Morocco. They went to a Moroccan restaurant in California, and that the owner of the restaurant was one of the couples that sits down at this table. That the monkey that they bring out was a trained monkey. It was just all like done in front of, like cameras with special effects, and that the monkey they put into this little, it was just the concept of this was so creepy to me though. They bring a monkey out and they chain him down in the middle of your table where you're going to eat your food, and just his head is sticking out, and the monkey's freaking out. This is a real monkey that's actually being led to like be chained inside this dinner table. And this dude's like spinning around and screaming, and it does not look like a fun experience for the monkey. And in the director's interview, he was like, "Yeah, the monkey trainer told us that like the monkey was trained, but that he probably wasn't gonna like this, so we had to do it in one take. Like he's not gonna get the monkey in the table and everyone hits them on the head with these little mallets, and then like we do a take two. It's like this is a one take kind of operation." And he said that even though the mallets were foam and they were fake, that when they hit this monkey on the head with the foam mallet, it was freaking out as if it was being bludgeoned to death and it was about to be eaten by these people. And then there's a quick cut, and he says that in the cut they had a duplicate monkey completely made, like a artificial monkey, and that the brains, which they show in the movie, they crack the head open and they're scooping the brains out with fork, and everyone's eating the brains and they're laughing and stuff. That scene was cauliflower that was soaked in red food coloring, and then they nailed it to the inside of a fake monkey so that when they come out and like scoop it out, it kind of looked real and it looked all visceral. I gotta say, man, even after reading that interview and reading about all the different scenes that were all faked, I'm like, I don't know, man, that monkey scene, bro, like it still looked real enough to me that even if it was fake, I 100% believe that is that happened somewhere. Like there was a restaurant where they did that thing, and he didn't just make all this stuff up, that he was kind of reenacting things that really happened. But man, that even now thinking about it, I was like angry watching it. I was like, these assholes, bro. And he knew that people were going to watch it like that. And he even makes a note that when a belly dancer comes up before their meal, that the American guy like tucks a dollar bill in her waistband and like pats her on the ass. And he said that when he wrote that scene in there, it was because he wanted people to be like these disgusting American, these horrible tourists. You know what I mean? But this is real, bro. Like he touched a nerve because of how realistic all this was. And, like nothing seemed unbelievable. These all seemed like real things that could happen.
Ripples and waves. This definitely has a cultural impact. I mean, everybody, again, I can't say for the more modern people, but I would say millennials and up, millennials, Gen Xers, maybe even some boomers. Like this was an urban legend of like, everybody knew a couple guys that claimed and swore up and down that they've seen faces of death. And again, I didn't even know what it really was because I was just like kind of petrified of wanting to even check it out, because I'm just thinking it's a bunch of like videos of like soldiers shooting each other in the head, or you know what I mean? It turned out to be not as bad, but definitely has a lot of cultural impact.
Yeah, this one is probably the most impactful out of any documentary we've seen so far. The most people know about it. It was shot on a budget of like $450,000. It netted $60 million worldwide. It was banned in like over 58 countries. And that even to this day, there's countries that are just slowly repealing the ban after they realized that almost all of it was faked. But it's weird, man. It's like, can I take a clip of that Morocco monkey scene and just post it up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or something? I feel like it would get dinged for animal abuse, even though it is 100% fabricated. It's no different than a scene out of, I don't know, like Indiana Jones, where they kind of show a similar thing. It's just that it was done so well. And the director made this point. They asked him, how do you make a cult classic? And he's kind of, well, you don't. Like, it kind of happens based on a bunch of different factors and luck. But that the one thing that he did is that he kept pushing it too far. That even when people were giving him feedback and saying like, oh, maybe you should cut this out or this should appeal to more, he was running in the opposite direction. He was saying like, how far can I push these limits? And he straight up lied. He said it was all real for the longest time. It took decades for him to slowly start admitting that certain scenes were all completely fabricated, until the point where he kind of admitted 90% of this movie was all fabricated. But man, even the fact that me going into it, knowing it, reading the Wikipedia, going back and watching it again, and I'm still like, I don't know, man. I feel like they might have killed that monkey. Yeah, that one, like, ripples and waves for me, for the rest of the world. This is like a cultural movie.
And if you want to see part 2, you can go to x.com and you can see Faces of Death 2 all day, every day, whenever you want.
It's funny you say that, because there really is a Faces of Death 2, 3, 4. I think it goes up to 5, even 6. And there's even a remake, although it's going to be like a Hollywood movie that calls itself Faces of Death, based on this original Faces of Death that I think it's been in the works for a couple years recently. So again, cultural impact, like this has got it in spades.
It's that time. Sink or swim?
I'm not prepared for this one, man. I actually don't know. I mean, I want to clarify that swim doesn't necessarily mean that I recommend you watch it, and sink doesn't mean that I recommend that you don't watch it. Man, I gotta say sink, and I gotta tell you why I say sink. A is that so much of it is fake, and the other big reason is because, knowing how much of it is fake, I don't know if I can in good conscience consider this a documentary. I feel that it is more like, it's not a mockumentary because it's not funny, but it's somewhere in between. Like the guy making it knew that it was a movie more than a documentary, but it was promoted for decades as all being completely real. So I mean, in my rating of a documentary, sink or swim, I feel like it gets like a disqualified. So it kind of sinks because of that.
I'm a big sink on this. I just don't like. I did like the concept of like what I appreciate him trying to be go into the philosophical side of it and explore death and it being fake. I did know that too, but for a long time I did not know that though. Let me be clear. For my whole like childhood, I just thought this was like the most. I'm like, dude, I don't want to see it. It almost reminded me of
changes that much, man.
No.
Even knowing that it's fake, if you were like, yeah, let's watch it again. Like I've watched Faces of Death every, once a week for the last 20 years. I am just as concerned about you if it were fake versus if it were real, because the way that he pulls it off, it feels and looks real, and he's it's not supernatural. He's referencing real things that really do happen. So yeah, I feel like you're splitting hairs on whether or not it's real or fake when it comes to actually watching it.
Yeah, and kudos to him for his filmmaking, right? Like as far as he did very well, especially in 1978. I give him credit, like to make a lot of it, like not all of it look real, but it was pretty passable, right? Like to me to this day. But it's a sink for me because I'm never watching it again.
Yeah, I agree with that. This doesn't come out as much in the movie. This one came out in the interview that I was reading with the director, but he makes a really good claim. He said that every time he did one of the animal ones where he sees the chicken getting its head cut off, or the lambs or the cows or any of these, that as he's watching this, he's like, I'm a vegetarian, bro. I'm never wearing leather again. I'm never eating meat again. But in the interview, he mentions, and 3 hours later, he's eating like lamb kebabs at the restaurant or whatever. But he's noting this weird like shifting emotions where in the moment he's like, I want nothing to do with this. I want the exact opposite of this. I'm never going to eat anything that came from an animal again because of how sort of like abhorrent this practice is. And then 3 hours later, he's hungry and he's like, maybe I'll have a meatball or something, right? Like, and that he's aware of that weird dichotomy of how easy you are. And he mentions in the movie itself, in Faces of Death, that all of these horrible practices where they're showing like the lambs and the slaughterhouse and stuff, that in modern technology, the sheer amount of food that it takes to feed the masses of people, that not everyone's got the stomach to know what goes into it, and this complete separation to where now it's like this one section of society they just get so used to killing animals that, as he says, the novelty wears off and it just becomes a job to them, and everyone else ends up just being the consumers of all this stuff. And in the interview, it was a little bit creepy because he mentioned that when he went to the slaughterhouse, out of all the places that he went to, in that slaughterhouse, the people had been so numb to the kind of like violence that they have to commit as part of their job, that one of them saw that he was kind of like disturbed by how they were taking the lambs out. They would like shock them and like hang them upside down. That one of them was like, "Hey man, does that freak you out? Check this out." And he just grabbed a live lamb and bit its ear off, like alive. And he was like, that was when he knew that it was time to leave the slaughterhouse. But like you kind of get that sense, and he explains that like once the novelty wears off and it's a ritualistic thing, but there's no honor in the entire system. This is 1978 that he's coming up with this. At this point, bro, we're just like sending them down a conveyor belt, and like AI is doing all the killing and stuff, right?
On the horizon, this concludes our Halloween spooktacular. You're not going to get any more of that great Paranoid American spooky sound effects. But we got another kind of spooky-ish topic for our next combo of films. We're going to go with JFK month in honor of November being the month that JFK may have lost his life.
Total Enlightenment. That's my favorite version.
We're going to go over the films. Everything is a Rich Man's Trick, JFK Revisited Through the Looking Glass, and JFK 2. I think that's going to be some fun. We're going back to our bread and butter, guys. You know what I mean? We're getting back to the nitty gritty, the stuff we like. Don't forget to check out paranoidamerican.com, killthemockingbirds.com. I'm Sean Chris. This is Paranoid American Under the Docks. Peace.
Under the docks, yeah, under the docks. Buried deep, but we're breaking the locks. Footage got clipped, they erase all the shots. Stay connected dots. Under the docks, under the docks, yeah, under the docks. Under the docks.
Ready for a cosmic conspiracy about Stanley Kubrick, moon landings, and the CIA? Go visit nasacomic.com.
NASAcomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com. Oh, NASAcomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
Never a Straight Answer is a 40-page comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the Apollo space missions.
Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
This is the perfect read for comic, Kubrick, or conspiracy fans of all ages. For more details, visit nasacomic.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Man, it's not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when the beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.